as much as losing Big Gabby is a big deal, okay, and it is. There's no question about it. He's one of the best centre halves in the world. Any team that is without him is going to miss him. Okay, that's factual. There's no beating around the bush here. There's no trying to kind of package it up in a nicer way. That's the reality. When you've got a player that's that good and he's not available, it's a problem, and it weakens you. But some of the meltdowns I've seen with regards to this are ridiculous. We are a team who went out in the summer and added the depth to make ourselves serious. Okay. And we all were super positive about that. We all lauded Arsenal's efforts. We were all full of praise for what Arsenal did in the transfer window to protect against this kind of thing. Now, if you're worried about the top end of the pitch right now, where we've got, as far as we're aware, no Martinelli, no Madueke, no Odegaard, no Gyökeres, no Havertz, no Jesus. If you're worried about that end of the pitch, I appreciate that. And I understand that. And I think you have every right to worry whether we have enough right now available to us to maintain the level of performance that's going to be required to go all the way and win this Premier League. But at the back, we're well equipped. I'm not saying that anyone that will come in will be as good or as impactful or have as bigger influence in terms of leadership as Gabriel. But look at the options that we're talking about bringing in to replace him. We're talking about Christian Mosquera, who we've all been blown away by at the start of this season in terms of the way he's come in and settled in. And we're talking about Piero Hincapié, an invincible with Bayer Leverkusen, someone who's won silverware, someone who represents their country with distinction and has done for years, someone who's been around the block, someone who is regarded as one of the best defenders in world football. So it's not like, with all due respect to him, we're bringing Rob Holding in again, or Socrates, or Mustafi, with all due respect to those players. We are much better equipped to cope with this than we have been in previous years. And let me tell you this, Arsenal can't afford to sit around feeling sorry for themselves right now. We can't afford to be sitting there going over the injury list over and over and over again. We can't, okay? Because we're in the thick of it now. We're going into the Christmas period, arguably the most challenging period of the Premier League season. We've got cover. They have to step in and they have to do what they were brought to this football club to do, which is integrate into the squad, become a part of the first team when necessary, and when given that opportunity, perform. Perform. Because let me tell you this, Piero Hincapié didn't come to Arsenal to sit on the bench every week. Christian Mosquera didn't come to Arsenal to be a bit part player for the rest of his career. No. These guys came to try and force their way into the Arsenal side. And they've got an opportunity now to do that because Arsenal are going to be without one of the first names on the team sheet for a long period of time now. So come in, grab the opportunity with both hands, perform, and let's keep going. You know, I get it when we're talking about the attacking end of the pitch. I do. I get the overreaction because it's not one or two or three or four or even five players missing. We've got 6, 7 attacking players missing. That's hugely problematic. But at the back end of the pitch, we've got cover. We've got quality cover. We've got depth. So let them come in, get behind them. The mentality shouldn't change. We love defending. Hincapié loves defending. Mosquera loves defending. None of them are Gabriel Magalhaes, but they're both fantastic players. Bring them into the team. There's no excuses. There's no time to be feeling sorry for ourselves. Is this ideal? No, but you can only play with the cards that you've been dealt. And these are the cards that we've been dealt. You can sit and you can moan about medical staff and the manager and Carlo Ancelotti and Brazil's role in this and maybe Gabriel's role in this. You can do that until the cows come home. But none of that matters because we can't afford to let this title challenge crumble or fall apart. We went out in the summer and brought these players in to protect against this. And we all sat there and said, wow, look at the squad. Look at the depth that we have. So now what? The depth isn't good enough. The depth that we were celebrating just a few months ago, what? It's not good enough anymore. Now, it might prove not to be good enough over the course of time. But why are we throwing the towel in already? People outside of Arsenal circles, and I got into a debate about this yesterday on the club. People outside of Arsenal circles, do you know what they do whenever we drop points or don't win a game? You know what the first thing they do is they go, Arsenal's soft, man. The mentality is just not there. And I always push back on that because I always say, well, you can't measure mentality. You can't measure it. So basically, what you're doing is overlooking and ignoring all the tactical and talent issues, and you're just pointing to mentality because it's an easy stick to grab and beat Arsenal with. No. We have to show people that that's not the case. We have to show people that when we lose one player in our defensive line, we're going to be fine. We're going to push. We're going to continue in the same vein. Do we have to do things a little bit differently? Maybe. Do we lose Gabriel's threat from set pieces? Yeah, of course we do. But we got to do so much more if we're going to go and win this Premier League title. We got to keep going. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep fighting. And let me tell you this, it moves so fast. 2 weeks ago, Arsenal were cruising to the Premier League title. A week later, Manchester City cut that gap to a point where now they're only 4 points behind us. And if we go to the Etihad and we get beat in Feb, I think it is, when we go there, that gap becomes 1 point. 1 point only. We haven't got a cushion. There's no time to rest on our laurels. We can't afford to do that. We got to keep going, keep pushing, keep fighting. And for me, nobody should be petrified of Piero Hincapié coming in. Nobody should be petrified of Christian Mosquera coming in. Because I'll tell you this now, there are not many clubs with that level of depth, with that level of quality to call upon when their standout centre-half is injured. We're in that position because the club were willing to go and put their money where their mouth was in the summer and do deals that we would have said were not even the priority. You think about it, right? We signed Christian Mosquera, and I went, okay, one for the future. Lovely. Then we signed the rest of the players that we did, and we got towards the end of the window, and I thought that Eberici Eze was the last one. And then bang, Arsenal went and got Piero Hincapié. Why? Because they recognized the importance of having depth. Well, now Piero Hincapié has the opportunity to step up and do his thing. So let's not sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. We haven't got time to do that. We can't afford to do that. And that is what breeds a loser mentality. And some of our fans will be nervous and they'll be worried and they'll be concerned. And that's fine because that's in a fan's nature. I go into every game with a sick feeling in my stomach, even when everybody else says we're going to cruise through that game. That's just what we do as fans. But sometimes you have to wake up and you have to smell the coffee and you have to realize what we have versus others. Okay? Nobody's going to tell me that Liverpool have the depth at centre-back that we do. They don't. They don't. Virgil van Dijk, Konate, and beyond that, no one is as good as Hincapié. No one is as good as Mosquera has been this season. We've also got Ben White that can play at centre-back in a worst-case scenario. You could even put Jurien Timber in there and put Ben White at right-back. Calafiori could go in at left centre-back with Miles Lewis-Skelly playing at left-back. We've got options. We've got options, man. We've got strength and depth in that area of the park. As I keep saying, at the top end of the pitch, we're down to the bare bones. We're threadbare, and I understand the concern around that. But one defensive injury should not derail us. And if we start to believe it will, and if we start to sort of accept mediocrity as a result of that player and constantly going, well, we were without him, we were without him, we were without him. In previous seasons, I get it. In previous seasons, I'd have been on that side of the fence, but not now. Not now. Not now. Okay, I think that's the end of my my speech / rant, whatever you want to call it.